We always have Jesse Ventura on this show about once a year, roughly. His last appearance on the show was over the summer, and we got into talking about a lot of different things. Does he support Ron Paul, the 2012 election? But he made some comments in this interview that did make a lot of waves online, getting hundreds of thousands of views when he addressed Mitt Romney's Mormonism. Essentially, Jesse Ventura, former Minnesota governor, ridiculing Mormonism. This made big headlines. Let's just remind ourselves of what exactly it was that the former governor said.
You know why? I'll tell you honestly, you know why Mitt Romney should not be the president?
I can think of probably 50 reasons, but what's yours?
I can give you one.
Okay.
I don't want someone in the highest office that believes in magic underwear. Are you familiar with the Mormon religion?
Yeah, oh yeah. So do you believe that Mormonism is a cult?
I don't care if it's a cult. I think they all are. I'm an atheist. I don't partake to any religion. I believe in the teachings of George Carlin now. Remember George Carlin?
Of course. But so
he was likewise an atheist. George said, I worship the sun because the sun comes up, the sun gives me heat, it gives me food, it gives me everything I need. And like George would say, and most of all, it comes up every morning and I can see it. That gives it great credibility.
But so now, the magic underwear, the Mormonism is a concern to you?
Well, don't get me wrong. People can believe what they want. I'm very libertarian. If people want to believe in religion and they want to believe there's a higher being up there that overlords all of us and that every Sunday we have to pay homage to him, fine, if you want to believe that. But this magic underwear stuff is the most ridiculous thing I've heard, to where the underwear has to be blessed, and and it only has openings where the parts that conceive a child can come in contact when you have sex. How ridiculous is that?
It's interesting for sure.
Well, to me, it's borders on silly, ridiculous, and I want a president that believes BS like that.
Hey, let me throw a few questions at you that I got from the audience. Rodney wants me to ask you about this story out of Florida where, kind of led by Governor Rick Scott, we started to see mostly liberal voters being removed from the voter rolls and told they have to prove their citizenship, a tactic which will clearly help Republicans in Florida. What do you think of these voter suppression tactics?
I think they're awful. Voting should be made easy. We in Minnesota have same-day registration, where you can register that day and vote, and the voting fraud is so, you might get one or two. You know, it makes no difference. Voting should be made easy, not difficult. And that's the problem you have. They want to now make you jump through all these hurdles to vote. And they don't want large turnouts. You know, this governor of Florida, I heard him a little bit earlier on CNN when I was there, and he says, we want everyone to vote. We want this. He's lying through his teeth. They don't want people to vote because the less people that vote, the easier it is to control the elections. And, you know, don't let the Democrats off the hook either. It does not matter. You know, with the Supreme Court ruling that money is free speech and that corporations are people, now they can accept all these corporation donations. They don't even have to tell us where they got them from. I got a solution. You want to hear mine?
Yeah.
I think every presidential candidate should be required to wear a NASCAR racing suit whenever they're in public. And I say that because when you watch Jimmy Johnson or some of the great NASCAR race drivers, look at their suits. They have all their sponsors on them.
It's full disclosure.
Yeah, full disclosure. That way we as voters can look at them and find out who owns them. Find out who's going to get favorite, you know, stuff from them. These two parties have built a system based completely on bribery. If you bribe the elected official or you bribe the Democrat or Republican Party, you'll get what you want. Now, if we do that in the private sector, we go to jail. How come we allow them to use bribery in our elections? And, you know, it doesn't end there. You know, lying. If we lie to the government, we go to jail. If they lie to us, nothing happens. How come the street doesn't go both ways?
Governor, Irene wants to get your thoughts on these attacks that we're seeing on women's reproductive rights, access to contraception, and just what we're seeing at in an incredible number of states, but also even proposals from federal legislators. Do you think this is motivated by Republicans thinking it will help them win elections? Are we going back in our opinion about what women's rights should be? What do you make of it?
Well, women have always been oppressed. You know, what was it? I remember the great record by John Lennon. You know, and women are always oppressed, and you know, if they can oppress any group, they will do it. And it's ridiculous.
But don't you think they'd be worried?
To think that government can have control over your reproduction. That government, let's take it a step with gay marriage. What right does government have to tell you who to fall in love with and who to marry? And their whole and what people need to understand is you have to have elected people with courage. If you put a civil rights issue up for a vote, it's generally the majority deciding an issue for a minority. Well, if you do that, if we put it up for vote, we'd still have slavery.